Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of Smash Through. I'm your host, Heezy, and I'm joined by my co-host, the Witch Kling, Matt Kling himself, the man who's going to take down Crown forever.
Is that right?
Max, I told Maxwell he's like...
Sounds pretty ambitious.
Maxwell's like, I'm not going to be the lowest seed dad, because like all those people know me from friendlies. Crown 3. I was like,
if only you got seated that way.
I was like, I don't know, man. You're probably going to be one of the lower seeds. Well, Matt, it's we missed December, but I think that's kind of fine. Like, missing December is reasonable for a monthly podcast during the most busy month of the year. But I'm excited to be back, and I'm kind of excited for this episode and kind of share with people what we're going to be doing this month and next month. Today we're going to be talking about a new character challenge for the two of us. Before we dive into that, at this point of this podcast is for, Matt and I to be always improving and to track the things that we're doing, make sure that we're, as we go to these super majors like Crown, that, we're giving it our all. Now, it really is about, using Smash as a way for self-improvement, and, Matt, I did it. Matt. I got K. Rool into Elite Smash, and honestly, I want to tell this. I think I told this story on another podcast, but I'm excited to tell it here. That this is something that you and I had talked about. I said I want to make it a goal to get characters into Elite Smash, but I have really bad ladder anxiety, for those who don't know, and so it's really hard for me when I'm within 2 to 4 matches of Elite to actually queue in. It hurts my chest. And I was looking at my win percentages, and I was telling you, here's my win percentages for my characters, and I was like, you know what? My win percentage with K. Rool, if I just do it, sit down for a couple hours and just go, it will just happen. And it did. It's so funny to think about what your brain will tell, stories your brain will tell you, and the things that it will do to your body. But it was cool, and I'm excited. I'm going to get Wolf into Elite Smash, hopefully this month, when I have time to dedicate to playing Wolf again. Or I guess not this month because of this challenge.
Spoilers.
Might be a while. But yeah, I mostly been playing Greninja after getting K. Rool into Elite Smash, trying to get some of my favorite characters kind of out of the dumpster. The problem with Greninja is it's one that I would queue in when late at night when I was drunk and wanting to play Smash, and that is a bad combo. So my Greninja was really far down, in the 2 millions of GSP. It was bad. But yeah, that's kind of it for me. Getting Elite, bringing Greninja out of the dumpster. Honestly, it's actually kind of hard to get characters out of the dumpster because it takes so long. I was texting you about this where I was my win percentage in my last 50 games I had at one point the exact same win percentage with Wolf and Greninja. And they were separated by 6 million GSP.
Right.
And it's...
Well, I think one thing is the first character I played when I started playing Ultimate was Pikachu, and ended up very much in the dumpster, and one of the problems is that you just get so little for each win, right? Like you were saying, it just takes a long time. I think in order to get out of the dumpster, I won I went 71 and 5 or something to actually get him out of the dumpster. And one of the other things is people down there are actually pretty good, and it makes me wonder how many people are just intentionally, conceding matches to end up in the dumpster. But
yeah, I don't know.
It's honestly half the time the people that I play against at the dumpster GSP, it's been a while since I've actually had anybody in the dumpster, but I remember a lot of those matches being harder than some of the people I played against in Elite Smash. So,
well, what's so interesting is at least I find that they're usually good at very specific things with their characters, and they really put you in skill check positions that if you are not used to that thing, you're how are you down here being this good at ledge trapping or being this good at this specific sequence of combos?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, all my opponents were just their thing was just being in the lab all day, I guess. It was just all of these people have their combos so on point that like it's basically, you have to be at like either 1 million GSP or like 14 plus million to get anybody that knows combos like that.
Sure.
Anywhere in between, and they don't know how to do that.
What about you? What is your always improving for this month?
Well, first of all, I want to give you another congrats on getting into Elite, and I think that everything's easier the second time. Like whether that's just, I don't know, the realization that you can do it, or getting over ladder anxiety, or whatever. Like I find that recreating something is always much easier than doing it the first time. So that's exciting for you.
To be fair, I would have Bowser in Elite, but Maxwell plays him online.
Sure, that's totally fair. Yeah, my always improving moment is just like going back to trying to learn when I'm playing the game rather than trying to win. Like, and honestly, what that really has come down to a lot is just like fishing for stuff. Like, I feel like you can spend your time in the lab trying to learn something, but until you can actually hit it in a game, it's kind of whatever. So I have been doing a decent amount of losing, trying to just like fish for certain combo strings, but I think that it's good for progress. Like, I was certainly fishing for like, for example, like Nair into flip kick with Zero Suit, like all the time, constantly, in order to like kind of get the idea of how to do it and like where you can actually get them. And admittedly, I still probably do it a little too much anyway, just because it's like such a sweet combo. But yeah, I've been doing some of that with other characters, especially like trying to get like Joker's Fair 1 stuff in games. So I've just been like, fishing for it a lot.
I was doing that with Fox the other day, trying to get Jab 1 stuff, and it's crazy how hard getting Jab 1 is with Fox. Like
a tech chase.
Yeah. I want to mention we were playing the other night. I was really impressed with your Rob, and I was kind of curious if you'd been playing Rob more recently.
Nope.
You just were like flowing in that game.
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you remember this? You were playing against Game & Watch, and you were just like laying it on him.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just, I don't know, get in the zone a little bit.
Fair enough.
I think that Rob is like just a fairly intuitive character, so you can string mostly anything into anything, and if you're just kind of feeling it, it just happens that way.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, that's going to do it for Always Improving. I really liked yours this month, by the way, because it was so similar to mine last month, talking about, practicing edge guarding and like, putting yourself in a situation where like you're forcing yourself to do something. So playing with intent is really important in a game like this.
Yeah, and I think honestly, the bigger takeaway I hope people got out of that was that like it's just more being okay with like not trying to win matches as much.
Yeah. Housekeeping. Just don't forget. We did not do a monthly Smash just due to the holidays, but we will be doing one this month. Just got to confirm with my wife. So I'll be on the Discord. If Matt can join, he can join. Open invites to people. And then don't forget to, like and subscribe, because we're still doing the 1,000 Smash giveaway of a copy of a Switch and Smash for the YouTube channel. With that being said, let's talk about our new character challenge. It's a new year, Matt, and I thought that it would be really fun to start the new year trying something new together. So what we're doing is we've each come up with a character for the other person to main until our next episode, which should be in February. And in addition to that episode, we will be doing... Well, we'll get into that later. We'll get into that part later. So what's the goal of this, Matt? The goal of this is really to kind of broaden things, right? It's in a game like Smash. I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, where like when I went to main Greninja for that little while, and I came back to Wolf, my Wolf flowed better, right? Where it was like, oh, like you're doing all this combo stuff that you were not doing. You're not like only fishing for up smash. Your strings are a lot better and things like that. And one of the things that I think the goal of this is, one, it's to learn to appreciate things about other characters and learn them, because it will also help you when you play against those characters. And two, to give you a fresh perspective kind of on the game and that level 0, or that, whatever level we'll be at with the characters that we've selected for each other, of like, okay, well, where am I at with this character? What do I need to learn? And, building a new base.
Yeah, I think it's pretty often that you can incorporate stuff from other characters into your own game with your main anyway. But I also think that it's hard to overstate how valuable it is to just like have a baseline of how to play a character in order to play against them. Like having just like, I've played almost every character in the roster pretty extensively at this point, just trying to get everybody to elite, and it's much easier to know what your opponent wants to do if you at least have a baseline of what the character should do.
So, with that being said, let's dive into what characters we are picking for each other. And Matt, I'm going to switch up the show notes. I'm actually going to let you go first.
Sure.
So, what character have you picked for me?
Yeah, so I'm going to pick Roy, and the reason for this is that I think that Roy is kind of highlights the things that I would like to see in your game more, which is like he really needs you to ask the questions rather than answering them, right? Like it's like you present threat after threat after threat with Roy and just like kind of rush your opponent down. And I think that is a really powerful thing to know how to do when the game requires that. And as far as what I would hope you would learn out of it, I mean, if I'm being honest, the biggest thing that I would hope that you would learn would be like the jab into bear combos, but that's like a pretty high ask, I think. So yeah, probably just the thing that I said before, which is that the power of just like safe shield pressure, just like going, and you do this with Wolf sometimes for sure with like the forward tilt stuff, but it's just that's Roy's entire game plan is just like pressuring your opponents in ways where they can't really punish you.
Yeah, and I think that, kind of thinking about this, I think that learning a character that, one, doesn't have a projectile, that, two, like, isn't, like if we think about the characters that I play the most, right, like PT, Wolf, K-Rool, Greninja, and Samus, they all have the ability to kind of like play the way that you were just talking about, right? Where I get to react, but I also only I get to pressure once the opponent makes a mistake. Whereas, like, I don't know that Roy's going to play that way.
Yeah, Roy is a lot more about forcing openings rather than waiting for them. And one of the other things that's really going to be good about Roy, I think, is that his grab is like kind of bad. So it'll be interesting to see you learn how to be forced to use a grab that's just not that optimal.
Sure.
Like, you're still going to have to use the grab because that's just how the game works, right? Like, I play Zero Suit. I'll tell you all about how bad it is to have a terrible grab, but yeah, I think that'll be interesting because, like, all the characters that you play really just have superb grabs and nice grab combos. So,
yeah. So I'll go next for you. I'm gonna pick. I want to be clear. I thought of so many characters for you. Like, I'll just name some of them really quick. One of them was Padaisy. One of them was Cloud. One of them was Mega Man. Palutena, an old bean of yours, stuff like that. And what I didn't want to do is like pick a character that I thought that just like didn't fit for you. Like, I wanted somebody like I could pick, say, Joker, right? But like you're already gonna play Joker. Like, that's just something you're gonna do anyway. And kind of thinking about it more today, I actually am gonna select Diddy Kong for you. And there's a couple reasons why I thought Diddy Kong was a good choice here. One, I think that technical item play is like difficult, and you would really enjoy learning. You enjoy learning difficult things. Like, it's something that you get a lot of enjoyment out of. And the other thing is, like, Diddy Kong has the ability like to have really early kill power, or really like close stocks really like in a blink of an eye. And I also think that his combo game is kind of sick. Something else that you would really enjoy. And I think the thing that I would kind of hope that you would learn from this is like how to really enjoy characters that maybe have different difficult or suboptimal recoveries. That whether like or I guess exploitable recovery might be like the right word. and how to navigate the game so that maybe you lessen that effect.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm sure there will be some pain with just me SDing with Diddy Kong because I do that a lot. But yeah, honestly, I would say it's funny though. I would say that Diddy Kong is probably in my top 5 most played characters over the last 2 months.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Only because that's one of the few characters that I don't have in Elite right now that seems pretty doable. But yeah, I mean, I think that is going to work out pretty nicely. So I'm excited to learn some Diddy Kong for real this month.
So, kind of to break down what's going to happen next, because I think that one of the things that we want to do is we want to make sure that we are owning this, right? Like, I really am. I think we're both going to make an active effort to like legitimately main these characters. And so for me, like, I guess I have a question for you. Like, where are you going to start here?
My step 1 was going to be to watch the most recent tournament. I can't remember. Luminosity Makes Big Moves, and just see some of what Tweak does as far as like the combo strings and stuff, and see how those are implementable.
That's dope. I was going to start with Iza, go in and watch his. I'm actually positive he has an Art of Roy video, and take notes on stuff like that, and then maybe go watch some matches of Goblin and Cola, and just like some of the Roys that I think that would be interesting to replicate. Personally, I'm gonna document this. Like, I'm not challenging you to document it, but like I'm gonna try to do what I would do with like Wolf or Young Link or these characters that I enjoy so much, and treat it as a character that I'm legitimately like, maybe one day I will be a Roy main because of this, and I think that is kind of my hope for this challenge. After we've done this for at least a month, the date of recording is the 9th of January. We're gonna do a best of 5 with the characters. We're gonna have some Roy v Diddy Kong. I actually don't know what that matchup looks like. I
would guess that Diddy Kong is favored.
I would also guess that,
but I'm not sure. So
so we'll record that, put it on the YouTube channel, and then do a follow-up cast talking about like what we learned and what we learned to like appreciate about the characters and things like that. So
yeah, that sounds fun. I'm actually pretty excited to play Diddy Kong because I think it's a character that I could have a lot of fun with, and I
think so too.
Who knows? I could jump up a bunch of tiers in the tier list if I decide I'm done with Zero Suit.
Depending on who you ask.
Yeah. I think most people have Diddy Kong higher than Zero Suit, at least.
All right, that is going to do it for our main topic. We are going to dive into some tourney talk, and there were 2 tournaments this weekend. I only got to watch one of them. I did not watch any of... Is it Umbara?
That sounds reasonably correct to me. I'm not going to try to pronounce it, so...
All right, I like it. The confidence. So, let's make moves. Luminosity oh my gosh. Luminosity Makes Big Moves is the first tournament that I want to talk about. It's also the one that I watched. I actually watched quite a bit of it. I watched most of the top 8, and then I watched a lot of Larry Lur's stream and some of Hungrybox's stream of it. I'm kind of curious. Did you get to watch any of this?
Yeah, I watched most of it. I did not watch the conclusion of the tournament. But yeah, I watched most of both of these tournaments actually. At least somewhat. Like they were more on in the background than like something I was actually watching a lot. But yeah. Once Leo gets out of a tournament, I kind of lose interest sometimes.
Fair enough. Shout out to Tweak for winning. But I was kind of curious, like, you didn't watch this match, though. The match that I wanted to talk about was the losers finals, which was Spargo v Sonics, where Spargo wins game 1 with Cloud, and then counter picks on FD Corrin, and convincingly wins with Corrin. And what's so interesting to me is, like, there was a moment where Spargo made a pretty big mistake by throwing out like a counter in neutral, trying to like anticipate a spin dash attack.
Hmm.
And what was really interesting to me about this is like we've come to like this age where like solo maining characters has really paid off for like a lot of people. But Spargo's one that like he plays a character that he can win with and then still chooses these other secondaries, and I'm kind of curious your thoughts on it.
I think that it's a pretty split world at the moment, right? As far as like whether you should be a solo main or have secondaries, right? And I think some of it depends on how technical the character you're playing is. But I also just think it's more of a mindset thing. Like it's just how you want to approach it. Because like let's look at the top 5, right? Like so we have Mia has played just in this last tournament. He played both Steve and Game and Watch. Akala has played Steve and Aegis. Like he's actually been working on the Aegis quite a bit. So like I would consider that almost a real secondary at this point. And he's pulled out like Donkey Kong and things like that to try to beat Spargo. And then if we look at Sonics is obviously a solo main. Gluto obviously just has the Wario. Seen him pull out the I believe Roy at one point, but it looked just like awful. And then we have Spargo, who obviously plays multiple characters, like at least Cloud and Aegis, and now Corrin, and like, Leo has a few characters that he'll play, although he's been mostly playing the Joker lately. Which
his Joker really cool. Looks clean. That's what I was going to get to next. We'll talk about it in a second.
But yeah, I think that it really just depends on which camp you are in. I mean, Tweak plays other characters sometimes, although I think that he's been doing better and having more success when he's been just going solo Diddy and just grinding it out. So
yeah, I mean, he was. Did you get to watch him and Sonic's playing on his video where he was trying to pick up Banjo?
No.
Yeah, he's building his Banjo, and what's so funny about this is like, he's building this Banjo specifically against Sonics, practicing, and then I don't know if that just helped him this weekend or what, but like just like Sonics just lost to Tweak and then lost to Tweak, the double Elin.
Yeah, so do we know if Spargo has ever played Corrin against Sonics? Because they play like all the time, right? I guess they're
he has not, but
they're like pseudo online training partners, I guess. Yeah. Is what they were saying on coverage, and obviously they play in the coin box like every week.
I think that he picked up the Corrin for the matchup after Leo beat Sonics with Corrin. Is what they were saying on coverage.
Okay.
And talk to Leo about it.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I did get to watch the last game of that match. I know one thing that I found really interesting was that Spargo says that he prefers to play against Sonics online rather than offline. I thought that was a very interesting sentiment, given that everybody always considers like Sonic this Wi-Fi demon or whatever,
Sure. What did you think of you actually did watch the conclusion of this tournament, by the way. Because it was the SD.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I do remember. Yeah, there were a lot of really unfortunate SDs in both of their sets, actually. Like, they had some weird stuff going on in the other match as well. Like, so their first match between Tweak and Sonics got the first stock, and then... Or got the first game, sorry. And then, like, SD'd at 0 in, like, the first 30 seconds of game 2. And then they ended up playing a really close game after that. Like, the game went to, like, last hit or whatever. So it looked like Sonics was in a pretty commanding position. And then I think, I'm not sure if he SD'd in game 3, but I know one of the next 2 he SD'd again. And then the run back, there was also some, I
mean, there was it's so hard, like, why, I just don't know why he was going out that far.
I think going out to Edgeguard is good. I mean, that's one of like Sonic's signature moves. is like actually going deep and going out really far for the edge guard. I'm just not sure about the decision for homing attacks specifically.
Sure.
I don't know.
Also, I mean, that SD could have also been attributed to his stage pick.
To PS2? Didn't they play? They played all their games on PS2, didn't
No, he counterpicked in game 3, or he picked Smashville.
Okay. I don't remember him SDing on Smashville. That seems really surprising.
That's what the game 3 was.
In set 2 or set?
In the Grands, yeah.
Okay, in Grands. Fair enough. I don't think I watched the one on Smashville because the SD was on PS2 for sure, where he did the homing attack and just killed himself.
It
also wasn't was it a 3-0? I thought it was a 3-1.
It was a 3-0
in the second set. Was it a 3-0? I thought it was on PS2. I could be wrong.
Maybe it was a 3-1. I'll just look.
Yeah, it could certainly have been a 3-0. But I thought the SD was on PS2, but it's kind of irrelevant anyway. I'm not sure that whether it was Smashville or PS2 really mattered in that context because they were just so close to the blast zone already, regardless of like.
Yeah, it was
anything else.
It was a 3-0.
Okay.
So, let's talk about before we go into the next tournament because I want to ask you questions about it. Dude, we got peak Joker. We got peak Joker Diddy Kong again from Leo and Tweak. Did you watch that set?
Yeah, I watched a lot of it. Again, sometimes I have stuff on in the background, so I can't remember like the specific details of it. But yeah, Leo's Joker was looking really nice. I think that's a really tough matchup for Joker, but he was, keeping it close, keeping it interesting for the most part. So.
Do you? I kind of want to talk about this because I think that if somebody listens to this podcast, I want them to be more willing to like accept that like that humans are humans, and just kind of the way that Leo has been treated since he stopped winning every event is so wild to me. We do this to like sports heroes all the time, but like the dude is like constantly top 4ing, like or top 8ing like all these events, and like people are like, oh, he's so washed, he's like not even good anymore, like blah 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 blah. And the Leo that I saw this weekend was like peak Leo. Like he easily could have won this event. Yeah,
it seemed like he was really on point this weekend. Definitely, like he seemed like he really wanted it. So that's good to see. I also am like a big fan of the Joker in general. Like I mean I like watching his Byleth and stuff, but like I'm happy to see him stick out with the Joker even in games or matches where he's losing. So.
Dude, he had this. I think I texted you right when it happened. I think it was his match versus Spargo in winners quarters, where he had like one of the sickest like drag down strings on the left side of PS2, where he just like dealt Spargo 80 in like 30 seconds, and I was like, holy crap, dude. It might have been less. It was definitely less than 30 seconds. It was like 8 seconds. And he just like, it was so clean and so fluid. I was like, dude, where's that been? Like, what is happening? If that happened to me, I'd just put it on a controller. I'd be like, all right, well.
Yeah, fair.
Just can't do this. Honestly, it was nice to see him on the Joker plan again. I'm kind of curious, kind of the last thing about this one. So there was a Steve ban at this tournament, and I'm kind of curious, one, do you think it was better with the Steve ban? And then two, do you think it would have changed anything?
I don't think that it would have. It's probably worse with the Steve ban, honestly, at this point, I think. I mean, like, who are the Steves that we even expect to see in a top 8 at this point? Like, it's Aquila and then maybe Onan, and that's it.
No, DD I think, actually had better results with Steve than Onan lately.
Sure.
And DD was at this tournament, by the way.
Okay. Did he just play PT then?
I would assume so. He did not top 16 this time.
Okay. That's decently interesting. I would say I don't think that Steve needs to be banned at this point. Yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Like, I think that there's at least as much evidence for banning Game and Watch as there is Steve at this point. And
So my thought is that I don't think that it would have infected the top 8, but I do think that it did hurt Steve players.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that's why I'm saying I think it would have been strictly better with the Steve not being banned.
I will also say that I know that some of the top players preferred it, and also that from a viewing experience, I am more likely to turn off a Steve match than most other matches, just because of the way that the game plays out. So, but that could just be me. Like, I just don't find mining interesting.
Yeah, so I think that Steve actually really is a cool character by design, and I think that he would probably be perceived that way by more people if he wasn't just like insanely overtuned. Like, I think that the problem with Steve is that he has a frame 4 rising fair, and like all of his rising aerials are frame 4, and his down air kills at 70, and his forward smash kills at 70, and it's just, why does he have these things, right? Like, I'm not even that upset about the combos for that matter. Like, there's lots of characters that have 0 to 50s, you know, like maybe not off of so little, right? Like his up tilt into 50 damage is like probably a lot, but
Well, let's move on.
yeah, I think the long story short of this is I don't even think that Steve is like necessarily an objectively not interesting character. I think that he has more creative expression than most. I just think that he's insanely overtuned.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that when my opponent. I mean, it's probably what you're saying too. Like when my opponent gets diamond, I'm like, well, I'm at like 15, so am I dead? Like,
yeah, his moves just deal way too much damage and knockback for no reason. So
yeah. Let's go on to, speaking of Steve, we have Umbra. I don't know how to say it. It's man, these top 8s were so stacked. This is Akola Ken, Mia Gluteny, Shuton. I don't know how to say this one. Yara, Kameme, and I don't know who this last person is.
Yeah, I don't know either. Their tag was in Japanese, and I didn't get to see it. So,
but you know, 7 of the 8 players household names. It's possible 8 of the 8 players. I just don't respond to you.
Yeah.
So no slight to you. Honestly, like you text me this top 8 and you're like, who do you like? And I said, I said literally, quote, I like the winner of Mia Gluteny to win the whole thing.
Right.
So how this played out, I have not seen it. I'm kind of curious. So the way that I'm reading this is Gluteny wins, then Gluteny loses to Akola. Mia goes through losers quarters, losers semis, and then wins losers finals to run on the run back. And then Akola in game 5 takes down Mia. Dude, what a that just sounds like a sick tournament to watch.
Yeah, it got pretty late, so I didn't get to watch the end of it, but yeah, it was a good tournament, definitely. Yeah, so it's kind of got a nice back and forth now with Akola and Mia, which is nice. It's a nice contrast from before when Akola was just winning every single tournament and could never lose. So yeah, I think that's cool.
Well, you had mentioned, you know, that you think there's more of an argument for, you know, for a Game & Watch ban at this point than there is for a Steve ban. And I'm curious, if you were to make a tier list right now, would you have Game & Watch number 1 over Sonic or Steve?
No, I wouldn't. But I think that, I mean, Game & Watch has just as many nonsense things as Steve does, was my real point. Like, I think that, and like, if we look at representation, right, like, I think Game & Watch has as much representation as Steve at the moment, and certainly as much top representation. So those were really where I was getting with it.
Sure.
I mean, I think if you look at any tier list of move sets, Game & Watch has like the best moves in the game in every single move. Like best nair in the game, best up air in the game, best down smash in the game, best up smash in the game. You know, or at least like
forward smash
up
that
there.
Kills it like
Yeah. So, and that's not even counting like Bacon and Chair and stuff. Like every one of Game & Watch's moves is like completely insane.
Yeah,
so,
but what if you just always get a 9, man? Like, let's go.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that would be the best move in the game if you could just get 9 every time. Kills at 10.
I personally appreciate the fact that we had 2 super majors this weekend that were totally stacked in the top 8. Like, so many times we have like 2 tournaments in a weekend, and it's like, whatever. Like, the hype isn't there. But that's not the case this weekend. It was really hype from top to bottom.
Yeah, I also wonder how much of that is just like Smash. How do I want to phrase this? I think that there's been a lot of bias towards North America for Smash for a really long time, and now that it's becoming pretty clear that Japan is actually just the strongest region, people are taking a lot more notice of like all the Japanese names. So the Japanese tournaments tend to look a lot more stacked than they once did.
Fair. I like that.
Like,
I mean,
when you have, I mean, how prior to recently, how long has it been since there was like a Japanese player in the top 5 of Smash Bros? And right now we have 2 of them in the top 5 that are probably just number 1 and number 2, or debatably at least.
Yeah.
And I would say the top 10 is probably like I don't know, 5 Japanese players maybe. So it's I think that is going to lead to a lot more stacked events in Japan at least. Hopefully we can see something like that in the European scene at some point, and then we can get 3 stacked majors every weekend.
Well, I was actually just going to say that I've also been enjoying it, like the fact that there are, I mean, what are we at now? Like 5 top X players in Europe too. Like the game really has become global in a real way. Whereas, I think that if we look at like Melee, for example, it is almost entirely a North American game.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, it just honestly makes you wonder though, like how much of it is that it's becoming a global game versus like how much of it was like bias either by people doing the rankings or just the spectators in general beforehand. Because if we looked at some stats, like there was a point, I'm not even sure if this might still be true, but like even when MKLeo was at his peak, he had never won a game against Shuton.
Yeah.
So, the fact that it was like uncontested that Leo was the best and Shuton was just like some guy back then was interesting.
No, that's a good point. That's going to do it for the Trending Talk. That's going to do it for the podcast. If you want to find us, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, everywhere you can listen to podcasts. Check out the rest of the Heezy Game Media, whether that be constructive criticism, drafting archetypes, need to nerd, and then Matt, you and I be doing a weekly video in Magic these days. Constructed Clash. What's that about?
Yeah, so basically we I assume we can do any format in this, right? Like probably like real formats, but
yeah, any of the RCQ formats, but
right.
Typically leaning towards the current RCQ format.
Right, yeah. But so basically we have a format set up for the week, and then we each play a deck in a best of 5 match and record that and present it to you all.
Yeah. Super dope. We got some great feedback from that. If you have the chance, leave a like and a comment. It helps the algorithm so much, helps the show out so much. And then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Every time you hit that subscribe button, Puppy licks a baby. And like, who doesn't want that? So,
okay.
Don't forget that if you love our content and you're a sponsor and you want to shoot us an email over at smashthroughpod@gmail.com, we are happy to let you sponsor an episode. Matt, Kling, where can people find you?
Right here. Every month.
Every month on Smash Through, every week on Constructed Clash. Man, I got you all up in the content right now. Thank you, everybody, so much. You can find me at Heezy Game on Twitter. That's my Smash Magic and Nerd Content Twitter account. You can find me every week on Constructive Criticism and every week on the Need to Nerd Pod. Thank you all so much, and don't forget to be always improving and always try to smash through.